I think by junior year, when you have your PSAT scores back, that's a great time to start looking. That's taken in October of your junior year, and most students are going to be required to take it. And if not, sign up for it, because it's an important number to have to at least start the process there. And then you can use that number to run it through the counselor site and come up with some suggestions of schools.
First of all, I think it's important to find an institution that reflects your values, and a school that's going to support you in the ways in which you anticipate that you're going to need from a particular institution.
Well, I think the biggest mistake people make starting out is going to all of the same schools that you read about in the news all the time, and that there are so many other great options out there. And that's why starting with at least that Counselor-O-Matic and leaving the geographic part of it open, because there are a lot of schools around the country that like kids from other regions, and they're wanting to branch out, and so you have a better chance of getting more money and getting into schools that maybe aren't local. Mm-hmm. And that can work better than some of the public school local options.
So how do you find these other options? College guidebooks, such as the Fisk Guide, contain hundreds of colleges and universities, as well as their overlap schools. Overlap schools are places that appeal to similar applicants and can help you expand your list of colleges. The internet has many other resources, such as Colleges That Change Lives, that introduce you to schools that are not in the mainstream media. Most of these other options will be private colleges, but a private college across the country will offer you much better financial aid than an out-of-state public university will. The other place to look is your local college fair. Here, representatives from schools across the country will be present to answer your questions and give you more information.
And sometimes location plays into that, right? The size of the institution, student-faculty ratio, organizations. That's going to help you as a holistic student at any given institution. And so just think about, right, what kind of environment that you would like to learn in. What is it going to take for you to be successful on your own terms? And I think you reflect that the essays they may ask you to write, so that you can show that you are a prime candidate and a good match for the institution.
For me, the biggest thing was location and where the school was, but along with that is kind of like what the atmosphere is like, because and also how big the school is, which plays an important factor on what schools you decide to go to, because you want to feel like you belong in a community, and you want to have those group of people that are there for you to support you. And so that would be kind of where I would start thinking about what type of schools I'm interested in attending, along with what type of resources they have for their students, and if they're easily available or if you have to search for them.
Don't discount the state school that you have near you. I think it was my tendency to discard the University of Washington as a backyard school, as this is where it was always there in Seattle, and it wasn't a very good school, even though I knew nothing about it. And that's dangerous, because seeing what I've seen now, being a student there for a year, it's a fantastic school, and just because I've lived there, it's easy to try to stay away, either because you want to get out of the city or what have you. But make sure at the very least that you apply there and you have it as an option, because that is going to potentially be your lifeline. And the state schools are often very well funded. Even if the economy is struggling as it is right now, there's a lot of money flowing into universities. So it's a very solid option that I think people don't take advantage of enough.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for, I think initially a lot of students today want an urban environment, and I think that can be great for certain students, but it also can feel a little lonely to other students, and I think it's important to remind them that a smaller place that even is a little more rural can build a stronger sense of community. The students all eat together. The faculty tend to live within 5 miles of the campus. They go to all of the events. And certain students thrive in that kind of community, because really when you go to college you're going to, have maybe 20 close friends, and it doesn't really matter if it's a gigantic place. But other students really want that energy of having grad students around and having a lot of big athletic events, and that's an important part of the college experience to them. So it's really important to start thinking about those categories. I think it's a big mistake to pick a college on a certain program because most kids change their major. I think the biggest mistake is that search on a major type thing.
An important thing to keep in mind while developing your list of colleges is selectivity. A good way to do this is to divide schools on your list into 3 categories: solid, competitive, and stretch. The placement of schools in each category largely depends on your academic record in high school. The solid category is for schools you know you can get into. Community colleges will be in this category for everyone. The competitive category is for schools you have a good shot at getting into, but can by no means guarantee admission to. If you stack up with other students who have been admitted to a school, it likely belongs in the competitive category. The stretch category is for schools where the odds of acceptance are low, but the school is still worth applying to. For some, your local state school will be in this category, and for everybody, any Ivy League or highly selective liberal arts college belongs here. You want to create a balance between these 3 categories. Apply to as many competitive schools as you want, but also apply to at least 1 or 2 solid or backup schools. Finally, don't be afraid to take a shot at a stretch school either. To get an idea of which category your schools belong in, compare your grades and test scores with those of students who have been admitted there in the past. But keep in mind that these are not the only things admissions will consider when reviewing your application.
A really important part of this process for many students at many schools, again, not those most selective schools, is the demonstrated interest, it's called. And for students to really show an interest in the school, either by getting to know the rep, or going to the website, or calling the school, or visiting the school, can make all the difference. And the flip side of that is it's very helpful for the student, because it engages you in the process even more, and you can learn a lot more about the school with those personal contacts as opposed to just going to the website.
From my experience talking to college admissions officers, that they love to hear from students and they want to hear from students, and so we definitely encourage our students to form those relationships, that you're not a bother. That's their job. They want to get to know you. It doesn't mean that you're going to get into their school, but it means that they really want to get to know you, and so we encourage, a lot of our program has students really being self-advocates, so rather than a parent reaching out to a college, we really encourage students to reaching out to their admissions officers, them writing the emails, them following up. So if a student met an admissions officer at a conference or just randomly emailed them to follow up with a thank you, to let them know that they're still interested, to channel all their questions towards that person, all their appropriate, and questions about the school to that person, and to always express gratitude for their time and their effort.